Welcome to the first section of my self-energy healing section of my online school, the Lotus Academy, and I wanted to talk about the language of energy. So we're going to start there. This is just the intro, amazingly. So the language of energy, I'm going to start by telling 3 stories and giving 2 techniques. So the language of energy, maybe 4, is all about, say, I remember one time in college, okay? So in college, I actually lied to all my friends on a certain day, and maybe I was lying, but I told them all that someone had given me an $8,500 check out of nowhere. I told all of them, and they were all happy for me. They were all excited that I had gotten all this money and that it was so great, okay? The next morning, it turns out that the college had been mailed an $8,500 check in my name. So I told everybody I had been given $8,000 the night before, but it was actually $8,500 the next morning. Now, there was a reason I knew that telling everyone and getting them all to come into agreement with me. So it wasn't just me speaking it. I got everyone to come into agreement with something that hadn't happened yet. But I understood a principle. And the reason I knew it would work, especially getting everyone to agree with me instead of just speaking it myself, the reason I knew that it would work is because I was in high school, right? And in high school, I told everybody this horrible joke. I was joking. And I said that my mom had died. And everyone agreed with me. I found out it was true. Just like a few days later, I found out that it was true. So on another note, even farther back, when that time I was about 14 or 15. And when I was 13, I was asleep and 2 angels came to me. 2 beings of light. And they started talking to me in a language I could only understand while they were there. And what they were saying was, your words have great, amazing, wonderful power, and whatever you say is because you say it is. And I woke up. There was no vision to the dream, and I could only hear them and what they were saying as they were speaking in another language that I could only understand while they were there. Now, here's another story. So there's something called the rice experiment, right? And what the rice experiment's all about, and I'm going to tell a few more stories after this and get even crazier. So, not that I like being crazy. The rice experiment is when you get 3 jars of rice and you fill them with rice and you start talking to them every day, once a day per jar. And 1 jar, you'd say, I love you, you're the best rice ever, you're going to do great, you're going to make it, you're beautiful, you're wonderful. And the second jar, you're mean to it. Tell it it's the worst rice, hate it, horrible. The third jar, you say nothing to. Okay? And after a month, 3 months, some people do it for 2 years. The jar you said good things to looks great. Might even look exactly the same. Literally. And the second jar looks horrible, moldy, and black. The third jar is in between. Not that when you don't talk to someone, it might have a certain energy to the relationship. Wouldn't tell you that. Anyway, so there's something called the Reiki rice experiment. So what people do is they'll actually meditate. There'll be 2 jars of rice. In 1 jar, they will send positive energy to out of their arm. In the other jar, they say nothing to or do nothing to. And the one they say nothing to and do nothing to after a month, 2 years, whatever, it looks all moldy and black. And the one that they sent positive energy to looks great. Like you said, I love you and you're great to it every day, just like in the normal rice experiment. So the Reiki rice experiment is sending positivity to one jar and doing nothing with the other jar. And somehow you kind of get the same result. Okay? Why? Because there is a primordial language that the universe speaks. An original, before we had words, before we had tone, before there was body language, there was feelings. Okay? There were feelings. And feelings, every emotion is a trance state, but not every trance state is an emotional state because there are altered states of consciousness. And there are tricks you can go, like bringing someone to an emotional state, they're halfway to a trance state, an altered state. So Richard Bandler and a lot of people commonly use this very covert instant induction kind of hypnosis technique. And what you do is you start telling jokes. Everyone's laughing and you just smile, wait 3 seconds, do nothing, and sleep to one person. It's a stage hypnosis technique. Okay, it's kind of like in instant induction. For those who don't know, I started doing hypnosis when I was 17 years old, doing instant inductions, and all I knew was instant inductions at 17 years old, and I didn't know how to wake people up, and I didn't know how to even give them suggestion. Okay, so I would literally just put people to sleep and then let them lay on the floor because that was it. And I had this one cat who would come over, and I would just hypnotize him and just lay him on the floor or on the ground and just wake him up. And everyone has different experiences. So some people might start dreaming certain dreams, but if you say nothing and they feel comfortable, they're not coming back up. They're just going to sleep until you wake them up. As long as it's okay to feel comfortable, and as long as it's okay to sleep and be relaxed and to feel good, and as long as it's okay to just be yourself and be playful, then maybe it's okay to do that. To just put people into a light, limp state and they're feeling relaxed. Anyway, so there's this technique, and when you make people feel like they're in an emotional state, they're halfway there. All emotional states are trance states. But not all trance states are emotional because there are altered states of mind. And when you put someone in an emotional state, they're halfway in an altered state. They're halfway there. So whether that's you're using humor and you're making them feel really lighthearted, or you're using anxiety, because you can do that. And the anxiety of what's about to happen when they're being hypnotized will just put them in halfway in an altered state by itself. You can literally take advantage of that and pace it and pace it and pace it, and then use it to flip them into an altered state of consciousness. Anyway, so the language of energy. The language of energy is correlation and analogy. Because after learning cognitive behavioral therapy, neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, energy healing, Reiki, Qigong, DNA theta healing, all these different modalities, Wicca, magical practices, Hermeticism, eventually you just realize you're learning the same things, different names. I can pull up in an energy healing book things I've learned in hypnosis trainings. I can pull up in a hypnosis book or in hypnosis trainings. I could literally bring a Wicca book to a hypnosis training and show the teacher, hey, you know that universal solvent trick that you taught us, that hypnosis technique. By the way, it's right here in this Wicca book. So you end up learning the same things under different names. And when it all comes down to it, there are 3 basic principles that govern Literally all of it. And these three basic principles you'll find everywhere, on every page, in every training, no matter what, every time. They are awareness, causation, and correlation. So in hypnosis, you might call it submodalities for correlation. Causation, you simply call cause and effect. And when you're doing these things in energy healing, okay, everyone is seeing certain colors, certain imagery. They might even be hearing certain sounds and feeling certain feelings. And when they do that, it's always allowing, causing, triggering a certain result. That's cause and effect. The images and colors and energies they see are correlated to certain types of feelings and energies in your body, causing certain results. When I'm hypnotizing people, I'm causing them to see certain imageries, feel certain things, hear certain things, and it's causing, triggering, allowing, generating certain causations of results. Sometimes I energy heal people, and they think I'm doing that. I'm really using hypnosis techniques. No one will even know the difference, and there is no difference when it really comes down to it. Sometimes I'm hypnotizing people, and I'm literally using energy healing techniques. They'll never know. It looks identical. It sounds identical the way I do it. They couldn't even tell if they tried. Because it is the same thing. Their awareness is contracted. They're absorbed in the experience. There's certain correlations to certain colors as I ask them certain questions, and it causes certain things. So you'll always find these three principles at play. In all my techniques and everything I teach: awareness, causation, correlation with certain colors, energies, colors, sounds, images, correlation, causation. As you breathe in with one deep breath, you'll notice that wonderful universal solvent flowing down deeply, flowing down greatly, right out the sky and the galaxies and the stars. And as it drops down like dew, flies through the air like water, whoa, it's moving faster and drops down onto your head and down to the soles of your feet, and you notice it just growing brightly. And there's only one color that could be associated with it. Only you could tell me what color that is, because you're always right in your unconscious mind. First impression, like a little child. What color is this universal solvent? And then they tell me the color. And then there's a correlation. And every time you get a correlation, their brain lights up. It's a certain color. You told me the color. Now that color that you're beginning to notice brightly burning within you, it's associated with the universal solvent. And what the universal solvent is going to do is it's going to generate new feelings in your body, new greatness in your body, in the way you only know you want, the way only you could desire, the only way that could make you the greatest you've ever been. Okay, causation. Cause, generate, triggers, allows, creates, makes, forces, triggers. These words. Causation. When I'm asking them for certain colors that correlate to certain things in the imagery, that's correlation. Or the chakras. Each chakra correlates to a different type of energy that does something different. What it does something. So you're saying that each energy in the chakra system, it does something. It has a causation to it. the color has a correlation to a certain causation. What? Awareness. Trance. Their awareness is contracted and they're absorbed into the experience. If you've ever played pretend, right? So in the beginning, you might be like little kids. So little kids, if you've ever played pretend, no. Right, so kids play with Barbie dolls. They play with toy guns. They'll play with their imagination. And in the beginning, the Barbies aren't talking to each other and the guns aren't real. And as you go along with it after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, the Barbies are talking. The guns are pa 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 pa. And then stuff gets real. Awareness. See, the metaphorical and the literal parts of your brain overlap a little bit. Allowing this stuff to work. That's why people say, they feel up or they feel down. You can't feel up. You can't feel, what does that mean? Literally. You can't feel up, you can't feel down. See, someone said they're so upright. Or when they say, that's crooked. It ain't right. Right, crooked. Metaphorical language it exists because the literal and the metaphorical parts of your brain overlap, allowing that stuff to have any meaning at all. That's why it exists in language. Not that feeling up, down, getting hit right and left with hypnotic language and keeping you in a constant state of trance and or confusion or both can have any meaning at all. And not that using language patterning is done in hypnosis and can drop people into states of trance. Okay? So that, my friend, the simple fact of the literal and the metaphorical parts of your brain overlapping allows energy healing to, I'm not going to go there. It allows manifestation to, I'm not going to go there. But as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. So a greatest secret that I've learned doing this stuff, one of the greatest secrets I've ever learned doing this stuff, is just the simple fact of, the fact that after a while of doing it and learning it, you'll start to notice that when you have a negative feeling in your body about something on the outside, and you just start to rub your hands together and allow the friction to flow greatly, brightly, burning between your hands, and eventually you'll start to notice a fire in your mind's eye, a fire that burns greatly with desire to make yourself better, to make yourself different. Because everyone always says, be yourself. And sometimes that you just ain't the real you. And you want to be the best you can be, don't you? That's right. So let that fire burn between your hands, brightly, greatly, strongly, the friction firmly growing between your hands. And as it burns and grows and twirls and swirls between your hands, as you pull them apart, not yet, but in just a moment, you'll start to notice the fire forming firmly between your hands. Whoa, do it now. Whoa. And then start to put it on that part of your body that hurts and just notice what starts to happen. What is that? Why does it do that? Allow it to flow, flow, flow into you with every breath that you take and every beat of your heart. As you put your hands on that part of your body, it just flows into you. For some reason, it makes change start to happen. And you pace them and you lead them and you pace them and you lead them. And when that happens, it'll change the feeling in their body. And when that happens, it might even heal their reality. Not that I've been in an argument, gone into the bathroom, start to notice the feeling in my body, pull it out, turned it around a little bit, focused, stuck it back in until it was the opposite feeling, and then walked out, and everything changed in my favor. I'm not going to tell you that happened, or that happened 1,000 times, or that I've used this stuff to heal people, or that I've used this stuff to do, because that would be crazy. It might even sound unrealistic. But I will tell you this, that changing your feelings in your body, when you learn how to energy heal your feelings you have about things on the outside, it'll change your reality. It might even make problems go away. But I love you guys. I want you to have a good day.